Let me tell you a story you have probably heard before. An apparel brand decides to give Amazon a proper shot. They have got good products, decent margins, real offline traction. They spend a few weeks getting set up, list their catalog, and wait. 6 months later, the numbers are disappointing. Sales are slow, the economics looks worse than expected, returns are higher than they planned for, and the whole thing feels like more trouble than it is worth. So they pull back, and the conclusion they walk away with is Amazon does not work for brands like ours. Here is the uncomfortable part. In the most of those cases, Amazon was not the problem. The decision made before and during the launch were the problem, and almost all of them trace back to the same set of mistakes. Mistakes that are completely avoidable if you know what to look for. And that is what this video is all about. Not theory, a calm, honest look at why most apparel Amazon entries fail and what serious founders do differently. Mistake number one, they confuse demand with product fit. We touched on this in the second video, but it is worth going deeper here as well because this is where the trouble usually starts. A founder sees real demand in the category, let's suppose jackets, workwear, and activewear. For example, activewear is moving. Fashion basics are doing the great numbers. And so the natural conclusion is our products should do well here as well. But the category demand and product fit are not the same conversation. The category can be thriving while your specific product sits in a price band that is too competitive, or in a subcategory that is already dominated by three well-reviewed sellers who have been there for years, or in a size and variation structure that makes it operationally expensive to even compete properly. The first question is never, is there demand? The first question is there demand for what we specifically make at the price we need under conditions we can actually compete for it? Mistake number two, they launch too much too fast. This one is connected to the first one, but it deserves its own conversation. When apparel founders decide to enter Amazon, there is a strong pull towards going it with a broad catalog. And the thinking makes sense on the surface. More products means more chances to find what works, more SKUs means more visibility, more listings mean more revenue potential. In reality, it usually means exactly opposite. Here is what actually happens. You launch 15 products, some of them have weak margins on Amazon because you never modeled the economics properly. Some of them generates high returns because the fit of sizing Some of them generate high returns because the fit or sizing does not translate well to online buyers who cannot try them on. Some of them are in price bands where you simply cannot compete with established sellers who have hundreds and thousands of reviews. Now your average performance across the catalog looks bad. Your advertising spend is spread too thin. Your operational load, managing variations, handling returns, updating listings, it is eating time and resource that should be going into the products that actually have had a chance. And at the end of it, the conclusion you draw is Amazon didn't work, when really tens of those 15 products never had a realistic chance from the start. The right approach is exactly opposite. Find the 2 or 3 products, maybe even one in your catalog that have the strongest economics, the clearest demand signal, and the lowest operational risk. Start there. Build proof of concept, then expand from a position of evidence, not hope. Mistake 3. The economics blind spot. 2 mistakes that tend to travel together, so I'm putting them side by side. The first is using retail pricing logic on Amazon. If you are used to wholesale or retail margins, Amazon's cost structure will feel unfamiliar. And if you do not model it properly, it will feel unfair. Referral fees, Amazon fulfillment costs, advertising spend to get any meaningful visibility, especially in competitive apparel categories, storage fees if inventory sits too long. We went through all these in video 2, so you should get back to that for deeper look. The second part of this blind spot is variation complexity and the cash flow it demands. Apparel is not like most Amazon categories. A single product, one style, one color might need to be listed across 8 or 10 sizes. Now multiply that by multiple colorways, now multiply that by multiple styles. The inventory investment to properly support that across Amazon fulfillment network is significant. Founders who haven't planned for this either understock, which kills their ability to compete because Amazon rewards consistent availability, or they overstock the wrong sizes and get hit with storage cost and capital tied up in the slow moving inventory. This is not a reason to avoid Amazon. It is a reason to go in with clear eyes about what the cash flow requirement actually looks like before you commit. Mistake 4. They underestimate the return problem. This is one apparel founders are most surprised by, and honestly, it should not be a surprise, but it usually is. Return in apparel on Amazon are high, higher than almost any other product category. And the reason is obvious. When you think about it, customer cannot try anything on. They are making a decision based on images, sizing charts, and other people's reviews. So they order, and when it does not fit, or the colors looks different from the photo, or the fabric feel is not what they expected, they return it. On average, 10% of apparel are returned back on Amazon. Now here is where it becomes a serious financial problem. If you haven't factored a realistic return rate into your economics model, your actual margins are going to look very different from your projected margins. And in a category like apparel, a return rate that is even a few percentage points higher than your planned can turn a profitable product into a losing one. The founders who navigate this well do two things differently. First, they factor apparel specific return rates into the economics before they launch, not after. Second, they invest heavily in the listing itself to close the expectations gap as much as possible, which brings us to the last mistake. Mistake 5. Weak listings in a channel where the listing is everything. In your store, a customer can pick the products up, they can feel the fabric, they can hold it against their body, they can ask a question. The product sells itself through physical experience. On Amazon, the listing is the store. Your images, your copy, your size guide, your video if you have one, that is the entire customer experience before the purchase decision happens. And in apparel, especially where fit anxiety and material expectations are two biggest reasons customer hesitate or return, the quality of that listing is not a marketing decision, it is a commercial one. A weak listing in apparel does not just underperform, it actively creates returns, because when the customer do not have enough information to set the right expectation, the product they receive is almost guaranteed to disappoint. Now look at those mistakes together and you will notice something. They are not really about Amazon being difficult or unfair or wrong for apparel businesses. They are about entering a new channel with the same casual assumptions and incomplete preparations that would make any channel fail. The founders like you who succeed on Amazon in apparel are not necessarily smarter or more resourced. They are just more deliberate. They model the economics before they launch, they select entry products carefully, they invest in the listing properly, they plan for returns, they go in with a clear objective and realistic expectations about the timeline. That is it. There is no secret beyond that. So here is where this leaves you. If you have tried Amazon before and it didn't work, it is worth asking honestly which of these mistakes were present, because the conclusion Amazon does not work for us may actually be our first attempt wasn't set up to work. And if you haven't tried Amazon yet, this is exactly what a proper evaluation protects you from. Going in with clear economics, the right product selection, and the realistic expectations is not just a good practice. It is the difference between a launch that builds something real and one that confirms a false conclusion. Either way, the next step is the same. Get clarity before you commit anything. We run a market fit analysis specifically for apparel businesses, a real look at whether genuine demand exists for your product, what the actual economics looks like at the SKU level, and whether this channel deserves serious attention from your business right now. Link is below if that is relevant to where you are. Because the risk was never Amazon. The risk is always entering blind or dismissing it without ever really looking.